In this video, we are going to be soft-proofing an image using an ICC profile or several ICC profiles. So let's say we've already created a soft-proof copy, and if you haven't done that, please watch the previous video. And we've downloaded and installed the ICC profiles that we will need to use in order to do these soft proofing or print previews. And if you haven't done that, please watch the other video with regards to downloading and installing an ICC profile. So now we're at this point. I'm going to select that existing soft proof copy, which is a virtual copy. Right now I'm not in the soft proofing mode because my checkbox isn't checked, and also I don't have this white background and I don't have a profile to select here in terms of paper profile. Not to be confused with this profile, that's like a camera profile or color profile. Okay, so I'm going to click on soft proofing here. We could tell we're in the soft proof mode. There's a white background simulating like a sheet of paper, and I see that I have a profile of the CanSound Infinity Pixma Pro 1 Edition etching paper. Okay. When you put it on, when you select these papers, you may see a different view of your image, and that's when you want to make some adjustments if necessary. I'm going to put it on, let's say, the Aquarel 310, and then I think this Cuba area needs to be just brightened up a little bit, the license plate. So what I'm going to do is use a brush. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start painting this area just really quickly. I'm going to use the mask here actually so I don't go over the lines. And if I do go over the lines, that's quite okay, because what I could do is now go into the erase and then erase those areas where I did kind of go over the lines. So I'm going to type O so I could see the image, and now I'm going to start making adjustments here by bringing up the exposure, shadows, and maybe I'm going to bring it up a little bit more, right? Just like that. Okay, that looks about good. Let me go back in there. Oh, I'm going to paint. Actually, oh, I made a mistake there. Instead of painting, I erased it. So what I could do is I can go to my history on the left side, and I can say back to there, one step back, and then I want to make sure I paint. So I pick an A brush, and then I'm going to start painting in there, right? I'm going to paint some more areas. Type O again to see my progress. I'm going to keep painting, and I think that's pretty good. Okay, it's a little bit, it's more even now, right? I'm going to hit done to accept that adjustment change, and so here I have the version. This version of this is specific to this paper. This may not be the way you'd want to export it and put it on your website or social media, and it's okay. You have a separate soft proof virtual copy just for a specific paper, and that may look sometimes entirely different than what you would post on your website. Now, I want to point out the features in the soft proofing mode. In the histogram, when you're in a soft proofing mode, these corner buttons act a little bit differently. If you remember, when you're not in soft proofing mode, the upper right and the upper left represent overexposure and underexposure. In soft proofing mode, it's different. The upper right corner, if I were to click on it, it gives me a warning, but it's giving me a warning of a different kind. This area of the license plate is not overexposed. Any area that's lit up in red after you've clicked on this icon on the upper right, what that means is that the colors that are behind the red areas are out of the color gamut of this particular paper. What does that mean? Each of these papers has a range of colors that it's able to reproduce on paper. And if you have an image and colors on that image that are not within that paper's color range or color gamut, then those areas may not be as accurate. So let me turn this off for a second. What you see here, this gold or yellow color, it'll still be reproduced on that paper. It just may not be as accurate. So I'm going to click on this, and if you wanted to resolve that, that's an option. Let's say if you didn't want this color inaccuracy on this paper, you could try to resolve it by desaturizing this area. So to do that, specifically for that area, the problem area, if you recall, there is this HSL, hue, saturation, luminance section. I'm going to use my targeted adjustment tool. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to the problem area anywhere in red, and it will automatically pick up orange on the right side. It will actually detect it, and if I click on it, if I bring it down enough, it will get rid of that area in terms of the warning. And if I undo that, there's the image, but that looks horrible. It got darker, and you can't even see the plate anymore. So I don't know if I like that. I'm going to go to my history, and I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to put that warning sign. So for this particular paper, I'm just going to go ahead and let it go. I don't want to try and correct for that, because it's just going to look horrible. But let me show you something, how this sort of color gamut will be affected with another paper. Let's say I picked and by the way, the aquarelle that I selected is a matte. So remember, mattes tend to not be as saturated as opposed to their counterparts on the more reflective papers. If I picked, let's say, this platine fiber that is from a different printer, but platine fiber is on the reflective side, meaning on the glossy family. If I were to select this paper, notice that there is no warning anymore. The warning has been checked, except there is no warning for this paper. Once again, I'm going to go back to aquarelle. The warning there, because it's still turned on. If I picked a different paper altogether that had a wider color gamut, such as the platine fiber, remember platine fiber is more reflective, hence more color saturation, there are no problems with this image. So maybe this image would work better on a more reflective surface. So those are the kind of things to think about on which paper to choose for a particular image. Now, something like this seems to be kind of a saturated image with color and high contrast, so maybe I want to pick a more reflective surface. Let's see how other papers do. I'm going to pick that edition etching. That one also has a problem. Let me see if I can correct some of it a little bit. No, it still looks pretty bad. So it looks like the matte papers don't do so well with this particular gold color. I'm going to undo that. So maybe this image is a candidate for a more reflective surface, right? What is this other icon here? Now this is the color gamut for monitors. Okay, so if this is the color gamut warning for the profile, I can uncheck that. Are there any warnings for like when you're going to view this on a computer? There's nothing really except for maybe this area here, which I don't really care about. But other than that, there's no problem so much for viewing this image on a monitor. Okay, so but I tend to not use that because we're actually preparing this or previewing this for print. So I'm really concerned with kind of this warning. But again, you get a warning, and if in order for you to correct it, it desaturates everything. Maybe you don't want to even correct it. Just leave it as is. All right. So that's another feature in soft proofing, is to figure out if your image has any colors that are out of the paper that you've selected, out of its color range. I'm going to go to the grid module here, and I'm going to select this other virtual copy soft proof that we created in a previous video, and I'm going to bring that into the develop module. And I'm in soft proofing now because it remembered I was in it previously. I don't have that button there, so that means this is truly a soft proof copy that's already been created. I'm going to select that aquarelle, see what happens. Oh, there are, and let's see if there's any warnings. Oh, there's nothing wrong with this image in terms of it being printed on that aquarelle paper, which is that matte. So maybe this could be a good candidate for this paper. Maybe I just want to add a little bit more contrast on this thing, and I think that would look really nice maybe on that paper. It's kind of this ethereal sort of imagery where you have this young man standing on the ledge overlooking the ocean. Maybe he's making decisions about his life. Maybe he's making decisions to jump in the water. Who knows, right? So, and maybe the paper itself can lend itself to that sort of vibe, mood, or imagery that is contained in this photograph. And the fact that it doesn't have any warnings, well, maybe that would be the good choice for this. But just because you don't have warnings on a particular paper that you choose, don't let that be the main decision maker. It's just an observation. And so something that you could possibly expect if you have a lot of warnings on a particular image, just understand that it may not come out as accurate or may not match your computer screen when you actually get the print to match it. So this has been soft proofing and using an ICC profile and selecting different paper profiles in order to make judgments on an image before sending it to the printer.